Hello, everyone. This is Logan, and as is tradition, I have decided to come out of my hibernation and do a video on the latest Apple event. This one being WWDC 2015. So, this was a mainly software oriented thing. So, I'm going to be doing two things differently. First of all, I actually have a sort of outline of sorts. Basically, I'm going to be looking at Apple's website. And also, I have a Skype guest with me. Introducing my lovely, scrumptious, beautiful, whatever adjective you want to give her, girlfriend, Teniesea.
Hi, good to be joining you this evening, Logan.
Good to be joining you this evening, my cuteness of buttons. I don't know, I was trying to be cute. Anyway, So let's get on. No furthermore. First of all, they did like a comedy sketch. I didn't think it was very funny, to be honest. What did you think?
I don't think it was funny either. I think they needed a lot of improvement.
Yeah.
A lot of work and time and dedication was further needed in order to make it better. I think it was kind of
Yeah, like if you're not gonna do something good, then just, stick with what you were doing, which, like, granted was, I guess, kind of impressive. But I don't know. Then we moved on. Like, the other thing was, like, they really didn't go over a lot of, like, how Apple was doing. And that kind of leads me to believe, like, two things. One, they kind of figured out that nobody really cares. Or two, Apple's not doing so well anymore, and they're trying to hide that. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not saying anything, but maybe it's true. Yeah.
Actually, to add on that, I agree with you because I really wanted to know how well the Apple Watches were selling as of thus far, and they didn't speak of that at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the Apple Watch. Well, I'll get to that when we kind of go over the Apple Watch, but, like, I don't know. And I mean, like, granted, it's only been on the market for, like, a few weeks, so they probably haven't gotten, like, official results. Like, they usually do results every quarter. So, the first thing they were talking about was OS 10 El Capitan or something. I don't know how it is, so I'm just going to pronounce it El Captain because it looks like that. Anyway, so the first thing they went over was sort of the split screen. Windows has been doing this since like 2009, and Apple just caught on to the freaking program. For God's sake, Apple. I mean, like, I loved that on Windows. Like, I'm not a Windows fanboy, and, like, as much as I don't like to say it, I kind of am a Mac fanboy. Um, like, I mean, like, I'm not, like, I'm not an extreme fanboy. Like, I'll admit that Apple has its problems, especially now, but I'm not gonna say, and I'm not gonna say that Windows is terrible. I'm not, like, an extreme fanboy, but I do prefer Mac over Windows. Like, it's just my personal preference. But yeah, the split screen, Windows has been doing that for years. And it seems like Apple's finally said, like, okay, well, we can't really. Windows kind of has us beat in this corner. And it's like they've, like, woken up from a coma. And they were like, oh, wait, Windows 7 is doing this? Oh, crap, we didn't copy it? Quick, to the computers, to the coding room or whatever. Like, what do you think, Tenny?
I agree. I feel like Apple is one of those. It's just like usually they're up to date on everything and they're always coming out with something new. And if they're gonna always come out with something new and they're always constant, I feel they should keep updating and keeping up with everyone else, like Windows, which is not as big as compared to they are.
Yeah, and it almost kind of. it almost kind of makes me really think, like, have we kind of gone. I've always kind of wondered this, especially now that, like, we aren't really seeing as much revolution as we are seeing evolution. Do you believe that, like, maybe we've kind of revolutionized, um, we've kind of run out of revolution and now we're just kind of going towards evolution? Even if you look at the iPhone, like, as revolutionary as that is, it's really not that revolutionary because it just kind of evolved on on an already existing product, like the Blackberries and the Windows phones. I think that, like, when people are saying, like, oh, Samsung copied this feature or Apple copied this feature, Windows copied this feature, they kind of fail to realize that, like, what else really is there to do? We as the customer are becoming more and more satisfied with what our products are doing. Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that we've evolved or revolved, if that's even a word, um, to a point where we can't really evolve or revolve much more?
I think I disagree because every single time there's a new update or every single time there's a new there's a new program or something new comes up, there's always a new problem with it. So there's always like with every time Apple gives an update, there's always some sort of crash or some sort of bug that comes with it, and they have to keep on fixing it over and over again. And I feel like there's always room for improvement, and there's always room for creativity. And I think we can always improve on what we make and what we build, and that is why people are just waiting for that 3D and 4D world that we're supposedly going to live in a few years from now.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, like, software is buggy. Software has been buggy since, computers first existed. The first operating system had bugs. The last operating system will have bugs. But what I'm saying more so is, like, when they say, like, Apple copied a feature from Samsung or Windows, or, vice versa, do you believe that it might just be because they really don't have room to improve?
I'm not sure if it's that they don't have room to improve, but I feel like most products that people are using should be able to do what other products are using. And that doesn't sound nice, but I mean, just because you're a Mac user doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to do split view because you don't have a Windows computer. Like, really, are you going to go buy another computer from a different program just to be able to do that? No, it's good that they are allowing Mac users to now be able to do the same thing. So I feel like it's kind of fair.
Well, technically there is, like, third-party software that can do that, but your point still stands. Like, there are features that Windows can do, and I'll admit that there are a lot of things that Windows can do that Mac just cannot do, and Apple needs to get with the program. So yeah, I can see that point, and it is nice that they are copying features. Honestly, it is nice, and I'm not just, like, playing devil's advocate. It's nice when Windows copies features from Apple too, um, or borrows, or whatever terminology you want to use. Anyway, this tangent has gone a long time. Let's move on to the next thing. Mission control. They've updated the UI for it a bit. Basically, there's, like, a few new gestures you can do. It's really nothing that big, but yeah, they've also kind of incorporated a bit with the split screen view, which is something I don't think Windows really does, as far as I can tell. I know Windows 10 has sort of like a mission control view, but I don't know to what extent that goes to. And I don't know. You can move your mouse, which is pretty useful. Like, if you've lost your mouse, you can shake it around on the trackpad or on the mouse, and you can find it. Which I lose my mouse all the time, so Actually, I remember in older versions of OS 10, and it is a crying shame that they don't do this anymore. They used to have it where like the mouse could be inside of a little box, and you could like move things on the box. I wish Apple still did that. That was a feature in like 10.2. That's like a really big flashback. I wish Apple could still do that. What do you think about that? What do you think about the mouse moving thing?
I wish Windows had that because I'm always losing my mouse and it can never be found, and I want to click on something and there is no mouse. So I feel that's a really good feature of Mac.
Yeah. I don't know if there's like third-party software with Windows. I might look at that later. Well, it wouldn't benefit me because I don't have a Windows PC. I think I tried like I've dual booted this before, but like it doesn't work that well. Spotlights, yes, they've done a whole bunch of things with Spotlight. Like you can look up the weather, you can look up like I think you can look up no, you can't look up stocks, but you can look up weather as far as I know. You can look up a few other things. You can be more specific like the thing they have on the website, documents I worked on last week, or documents or photos that I took in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Um and things like that. I don't think I'm gonna use it, but I suppose it's nice that they like. I really don't even use the Spotlight that much on Mac. I use it a lot on iOS, but I don't really use it a lot on Mac. Like I use it in the launcher, which is a lot more limited, but I don't really use it a whole lot in the Mac, to be honest. Tenny, do you use the Spotlight in Windows or on iOS?
Not really because I don't have that many apps. I just, in two swipes, I can find all my apps and everything I need. But for people who might have a lot more apps and don't know where anything is, I think Spotlight would be a good advantage for them.
I am that person.
Yes, you are.
I'm a I'm compulsive OCD and I need to hide things. Like how my phone works, there's like a whole bunch of folders and I use the Spotlight a whole lot. And I mean like my phone would be like overflowing if I did not have iTunes Match cuz I had like 16 gigabytes worth of music at one point. And like now I have iTunes Match, which is pretty much just a godsend. Um Oh, you can check stock prices on Spotlight. I'm reading that now. Forecast current locations of cities. Yeah, there's like a few different things. Mail, they did a whole bunch of things like that. Like they have you can swipe to delete things and archive things. That's pretty cool, but I don't know if I'll use that or not. I guess I'll have to really wait until this comes out. Um you can do tabs, which is pretty cool. I I think that's pretty cool, honestly. You don't have to like send something. You can like do like multiple emails at once, and I think you can even Tenny, didn't it say like you can like drag pictures from one email to another?
Yes, you can.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, I must admit. I don't really do a whole lot of email, mainly cuz like I'm not like I'm like 16 and I really don't need to email a whole lot of things. Like I email some things, but I really don't need to email a whole lot, and I really don't need to use like a whole bunch of italics and like different fonts and stuff. But yeah. See, scroll past that. Collect more than just your thoughts. This is the notes app. Like you can do like drawing. Or no, that was iOS. I don't think you can do drawing here. You can like do like pictures, you can do like web links, and that looks a lot better. The notes app is just all around a lot better, and you can like sync things with iCloud. um they've improved the Photos app, I guess. I don't remember them talking about that, or maybe these are just features from like Yosemite. Do you remember them talking about any improvements to the Photos app?
They didn't say much. They just spoke of little. little things here and there that they added, more editing features. That's really it.
Okay. I guess that's nice. I like the editing features now that they have with like iOS and the um and photos on the Mac. It's sort of like Photoshop for people who don't know a whole lot about photo editing. So it's sort of like Photoshop for noobs like me. Um, Safari, they've added a whole bunch of things. There's actually a feature that apparently another feature they got from Windows. Like for example, what was it? Like you can, like in tabs, there's like a way to see like what's playing. Like if there's like sound coming out of another tab, you can see what's playing and you can like X out of the tab. Um I just kind of avoid that honestly by just like closing out tabs that I don't use. But apparently like Chrome does that. I don't know if any other browsers do that. Tenny probably wouldn't know either because I think all she uses is Chrome. Cuz she's a Google fanboy. Cuz she hasn't tasted the sweet nectar of the Apple ecosystem.
Of course.
I feel sorry for you, Tiny. Apple Maps, they have public transit info, and they did that in iOS too. That that would very much benefit Tenny actually, because she lives in a more urban area, in a more metropolitan area where the public transportation is a lot better. I live in a more suburban area where public transportation is like, maybe like a few different, like maybe like 8 or 9, maybe 10 different terminals, and that's about it. But like, yeah, so like, Tenny, what do you think? What do you think about Apple Maps finally doing the public transit?
I am rejoicing because New York, that is where I live, and it is so populated with, I am pretty sure, millions of Apple iPhone users who are taking the subway. I see it. I see everyone on the train on their iPhones, and I cannot believe Apple waited this long to put a public transit on the maps, because I always get lost trying to find the subways, and I cannot open maps to help me because they don't have a subway feature. So I'm thanking the heavens, everyone, that they actually put the feature. It's amazing. Finally.
Yeah, and like that'll benefit me too as well. I think because like I've stated in the past that I'm visually impaired, and I obviously can't drive a car unless I like cough up the money for one of those really cool, nifty, smart cars that are gonna come out by the time I'm 40. So public transportation, I think for the majority of my life, is probably going to be the way to go. And especially now that I think like I think a lot of people are just kind of fed up with paying for gas on their cars. A lot more people are kind of going towards public transportation as well. So I think that's going to benefit a lot of people, honestly. Especially again in people with in more metropolitan areas like New York or Los Angeles, Philadelphia, places like that. Um it would really benefit people like especially people like Tenny who live in an urban area. Um there's like more languages, new other things. Oh, Metal for Mac. Like Metal be nimble. What? Mac be nimble. What? What does that have to do with anything? I'm just reading the tagline. That makes no sense. Anyway, back to that. Metal. Look, Mac, Apple is not for gaming. It is for productivity. and Metal is not going to change that. Like, the demo they were showing, I'm not much of a PC gamer, nor am I really a console gamer or a Mac gamer, but the demo they showed in WWDC, I swear I've seen PC games with better graphics. Tenny, do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. And I have no idea what this feature really holds, but I guess it's gonna have some sort of use.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's like a different way of coding games. It's like it's like different, things like that. And they're apparently porting it to Linux, which, actually, thinking about it, does theoretically mean that you could run it on Android. I believe, because Android is built atop Linux, so I wonder if that's kind of their roundabout way of saying, like, we're bringing this coding system to Android. Granted, I'm not much into coding, so someone who might be a bit more into coding could probably say, like, oh yeah, well, like, but Android has this and that, which would prevent Linux programs from working on it, or something like that. Like, I don't know, I'm not an expert on coding, but I don't know, maybe it would work on Android. But yeah, they've added Metal to Mac, and I don't know, and really, like, it doesn't look that much more impressive than what I've already seen. Like, for example, I was just a few days ago, possibly even yesterday. I think it was even yesterday. I was playing Slender with Tenny, that horror game that's supposedly, like, really scary. And the graphics for that, I thought were okay. Like, granted, I had it on, like, a really low graphics setting, but I thought the graphics were very good. And Metal hasn't really changed that. And games like CSR Racing in the Mac App Store, they have pretty good graphics already. Or at least on par with what I saw in the demo. And really, it just looks, it really, and like, granted, like, I guess I can't judge it just on that demo alone, but it really just looks like, an iOS game or an Android game blown up on the Mac computer. It really doesn't look like anything that special. And, like, yeah, like, even, like, the things, it looks like a very good, it looks like a Pixar film, almost, in terms of, like, graphical rendering. Swift 2, they brought that. That's, like, a different coding language. Oh, you know what? No, never mind. They didn't bring Metal to Linux. That was Swift that they brought to Linux. Yeah, anyway, that is the Mac. Now I've gotta wait for it to go over to iOS, because that's just how awesome Apple's website is. iOS 9. First thing, the news app. I think it's pretty nice. On one hand, it's very similar to apps that already exist on the iPhone. I first saw it and I was like, wow, this looks like Facebook Paper. And, like, if you look back in one of my older videos, I actually did a review of Facebook Paper. And it is very similar. Except I think it goes a bit more into depth, because what this does, it kind of goes, like, you can have, like, different subcategories. Like, they were talking about, like, you can look at, like, Taylor Swift news, which, like, Tenny and I were talking about, like, we can just, like, can't you just see, like, a whole bunch of, like, One Direction fangirls talking about, like, they're looking at, like, all things 1D news or something like that, and, like, just completely stalking everyone involved in the band. Now, here's a question, Tenny, and I kind of want your opinion. Do you believe, this is something I kind of thought about. Now, networks like CNN online and on the media on the TV, media outlets like CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, especially like the 24-hour news networks, they a lot of times, like if they're having like a slow news day, they'll kind of cut to things that aren't really important. Do you think we're gonna see a lot more of that now that we have it like divided into like a whole bunch of different subcategories that you can follow? Do you think those subcategories are going to like post like completely irrelevant things? Like going back to like Taylor Swift news, like do you think we're gonna have something like, Taylor Swift eats a chimichanga in Los Angeles? Completely BS news like that. Sort of like, even more BS than like Entertainment Tonight TMZ news.
Hopefully, and I'm really saying hopefully, they put most important news, things that really need to be heard from everyone first before putting very, very unnecessary things that we don't care about. Because then that'll be headlining and things that we really should know about, like the elections that are coming up and all these sorts of different crimes that are going around. I think we should know about those things before we know about which celebrity is dating who. So hopefully, I think CNN and all the other news broadcasting, you know,
Media outlets.
media outlets, I think they should have us just everything news important on just there, because if Taylor Swift has her own section, we should not see Taylor Swift in news, really.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not, like, I can't predict the future, and I don't know if this will really affect news at all, doing, like, these subcategories. But I wonder if it'll kind of, like, inspire news outlets, like, oh crap, we have it'll be like, oh wait, we have a Taylor Swift, like, we have a Taylor specific subcategory. We have to, like, completely stock her life even more so than ever. Like, I mean, like, TMZ and Entertainment Tonight, things like that are already guilty of this. Are we going to see even more of that? That's what kind of fears me. And, like, celebrity gossip news, like, I'm not interested in that. Obviously, people are. But I think it's kind of drawing attention away from, what's really important. Like, uh, like, politic, or I mean, like, granted, different strokes for different folks, but it's still. Anyway, that's enough of my news rant. But I don't know. I suppose I can't really predict the future, but that's just kind of what I think. Um, Scrolling down because there's a lot that they're talking about with the news thing. Man, there's a lot they're talking about with the news thing. Apple Maps, yeah, we kind of talked about that with the public transportation. Oh yes, wallet with Apple Pay. They're doing like gift cards and things like that. Now, here's the thing. Apple Pay so far has not been very successful. And I can understand why, because it's a new format. I mean, like, Tenny, have you ever gone to a place that is Apple Pay accessible?
Nope.
Me neither. And the problem is, it's still a new technology. And Apple really has to kind of get third party support first and worry about features second. Like, oh, well, you can, do like gift cards and things like that. Well, yeah, well, you first have to have more people use it. And granted, they are making it nationwide now. But still, I mean, like, you need to kind of like put your priorities in the right direction. Like what do you think?
I really like the idea of being able to keep all of your credit cards, gift cards, and being able to pay for things just using that one small device. Because, like me, I am always worrying and losing everything. Every 2 seconds, I can't find this card or that card.
Get a
And I
wallet.
think, and I think that it would be really helpful. Like, they mentioned that they're going to incorporate BJ's in Apple Pay, and BJ's is like Sam's Club, it is like Costco's, it is like all those places that sell foods in bulk. And I really like buying foods that way, and BJ's is one of the places that I love to shop at, no pun intended. And I think that that would be really good and useful when you just don't, when you're like me and you, oh darn it, left
Wait,
my
wait, I
debit
just
card
realized, like,
home.
where was the pun in what you said?
Oh, no pun. There was no pun. But
Duh.
people like me who will bring their phone, because everyone brings their phone with them, but forgets their debit card or forgets their money or forgets their gift cards, it'll be right there at the touch of a screen.
And, like, the other thing is, like I said, I don't live in, like, a very metropolitan area, but, like, a lot of the places I like to shop at, like, I'm a vinyl collector, so I shop at a lot of, like, smaller stores, because, like, most bigger stores don't sell vinyl. I mean, like, there's FYE, big stores like that.
Barnes and Nobles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Barnes & Noble does vinyl? Oh, cool. Anyway, like, there's some big chain stores, but I mean, like, mostly what I'm going to is, like, these little mom-and-pop hobby stores, like First Floor Attic. There's this one record store about, like, 15 minutes away. There's another one near Lancaster. There's a few different record stores that are just like mom and pop owned, and they will probably, at least not for a long while, get Apple Pay. Because really, Apple is just kind of targeting the big things first. And I mean, like, a credit card, they really. Like, a credit card is a lot easier to use, though. Because, I mean, like, let's say, like, I mean, like, to use a credit card, you just have to buy, like, a scanner and, like, have a working scanner. With Apple Pay, you have to, like, set up this entire thing and have it be licensed by Apple and all of that. You can't just buy an Apple Pay scanner and that's it. And Apple just seems to be focused on, like, major retailers. They aren't focusing on mom and pop stores, which are still around and still very active, despite what a lot of people might think. There's a local video game store that I use all the time, and a lot of people go to all the time. It's called Game Traders Club. It's about like maybe 15 minutes away from walking distance. A lot of people still use that. They will probably not for a very long time get Apple Pay unless Apple steps up their game and uses these mom and pop stores. What are your thoughts?
I feel as though you're right. I agree with you. I just feel that they need to get the bigger stores with more money to endorse this idea, and then they should go out further with it if it's successful, and let the smaller stores do it as well, because it would benefit people like you and like me, because there are a lot of stores around me like that. I feel like it'll benefit those stores as well.
Yeah. So anyway, Carplay, they're doing some stuff with that. Who really uses Carplay? Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, really the only way to use CarPlay is if you buy, like, these really expensive BMWs, or if you use, like, or if you buy, like, these $1,000, handsets that are, like, it's really, it's really interesting. Because, like, Apple Pay, or, we're not even talking about Apple Pay, what the hell? CarPlay, like, I don't know, I mean, like, obviously it's trying to go after the people who are my friend's dad, he makes a living not entirely on this, but partly on this by installing by installing iPads in people's cars. And Apple's kind of trying to do a more user-friendly thing of that. The problem with that is that it would probably, at this rate, it would actually be cheaper to have an iPad installed in your car than to buy one of these CarPlay handsets that do a whole lot less. And I mean, like YouTube, for example, that's not supported. I mean, like, granted, it's probably not a good idea to, you know, watch YouTube while you're driving, but I mean, like, you could, like, listen to, like, a full album or something like that on YouTube. Even the Spotify thing isn't that great, on there. It's very laggy. It's not very good. So, yeah, CarPlay, as of right now, and it's very much in its infancy, but as of right now, I'm going to call it a flop. That's just me, though. Like, what are your thoughts, though?
I agree. It's just I haven't seen anyone, not even with really nice cars, using that. My aunt has a really nice car, for example, but she doesn't use that. She just has her regular phone, just having it on Bluetooth, on the being able to talk to people. But I don't see anyone really using CarPlay, and I just think as of right now, it's just not really a necessity.
Yeah. So the split screen, that's actually pretty cool. Like, Samsung's been doing that for years, Windows has been doing that for years, but it's nice that iOS is doing it. And I can't really say if iOS's interpretation is any better or any worse, because I haven't really played around with that feature a whole lot on the Samsungs. Even though I will say that this is exclusive to the phones. Uh, or this is exclusive to the iPads. I'm sorry. And Samsung, you can do split screen on the Galaxy S5, the Galaxy Note, or the Galaxy phones, the Galaxy Note phones, the Galaxy Tabs, whichever, almost any modern Samsung product that's high end can do this. And I don't know, it's kind of limited. But from what I saw on the iPad, it looks pretty cool, honestly. I kind of I kind of like it, honestly. What are your thoughts on what you saw? Like, do you think
Uh,
you'll use it?
I might. I'm not sure. I guess it's a good thing, but as of now, I don't have much to comment on that.
Hmm. It looks pretty cool, honestly. Let's just see how they interpret it. I had an iPad, but unfortunately, long story short, I don't have an iPad anymore. I lost it. Start crying for me, Tenny.
Oh, sad. When?
Uh, yeah, and you can, like, it does look like you can resize apps, sort of like with Samsung as well. Uh, Picture. Oh yeah, picture in picture. This is something else that Android does. That it's pretty nice that other things do as well. Like you can like watch like a video on like ESPN or in your or like watch a movie, and at the same time you can like respond to a text, and it's very useful, honestly. I think it'll be pretty nice. The only problem is, again, Apple is restricted to the tablets. Samsung, you can do this on pretty much anything. And granted, like, I will say this. I like the fact that you can. Like, my biggest complaint with the iPad, and the reason I don't think I really missed it a whole lot when I lost it, was because it really didn't do a whole lot more than the phones already did. So the iPad wasn't really that much of a necessity for me. I mean, oh, well, it gives you more real estate. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, like, just use a MacBook Air. It's just pretty much just as thin anyway, and it does a whole lot more. I mean, yeah, it's more expensive, but more bang for your buck. So I don't know. I can't really live off of a tablet, and I still don't think I really can until they start doing like more professional apps, like they have like full on Photoshop or something running off of that. But I believe that this is kind of a step in the right direction. At least it's doing something that the iPhones aren't. QuickType. Yes, they've added some things to that. Like, you can cut, you can copy. It's a lot easier to do on the iPad. The newer iPhones can also do this as well. They've been able to do that. Uh, you can also scroll through you can move the cursor by like using the by using like a two-finger swipe. You can like you can do some other things, like you can move like sentences around. You can do a few things with the new keyboard, so that's pretty nice. Yes, now we have I don't even know what Apple called it, but I'm just gonna call it Google Now because let's face it, that's pretty much what it is. From what I can tell, Google Now on Android, it seems like it's more so. Seems like it does more. Like I mean, like Google. Like here's an example. It can actually remember where you parked. Like if you can ask Google where you parked, and it'll remember. And like, yeah, Apple needs to, you know. Granted, this is kind of an early thing, and they'll probably improve on it as time goes on. But still, it's a bit more limited than Google Now as of right now. Um, I do kind of like it though because it has kind of like your favorite apps. Like on my phone, I have like an entire homepage dedicated to my favorite apps, like YouTube, Kick, Messenger, uh, the settings app, FXX now, where I watch like The Simpsons, binge watch it. Uh, so I use that a lot, and it's nice that they do that. Also, your favorite contacts, that's no longer in the app switcher. The only thing I don't like is that they brought Spotlight back to its own thing, back how it was in iOS 6, and like some purists might like that. I kind of like that you can like I kind of like that you could access it on any page. I don't know if you can still do that or not. Maybe they might have the option for both ways, but I don't know. It kind of seems like you're just taking a step backwards in there. But I guess they kind of have to do that to an extent. Siri got a bit more smarter. More smarter? Well, apparently I haven't. Siri has gotten smarter. And they also kind of updated the interface a bit to match the Apple Watch. I don't remember. Do you remember anything that Siri did that was kind of like, really standout-ish?
Not really. Just when they said that she's able to, um, when you get a text message from someone and they ask you a favor, you can tell Siri, "Oh, can you remind me
Oh
to do
yeah, I
this?"
remember that. Yeah, like you can do like the reminder thing. That's pretty cool, and you can like do reminders and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool, honestly. I mean like I use Siri a lot, especially I especially like Siri when I listen to music. I can say like, "Hey Siri, uh switch the track." By the way, anyone with an iPhone near you? Hey Siri. Did it go off? Did it work? Am I a terrible person? Anyway, so yeah, Siri's a bit smarter. That's pretty nice. By the way, what are your thoughts about the Google Now type thing?
Oh, I mean, since I already use a lot of Google, it's not really new for me. So, but I kind of like that now they have it for.
Like, do you use the Google? Like, you have an HTC One. Do you use the well, she has an HTC One and an iPod Touch, so she has the best of both worlds, pretty much. Do you use the Google Now on your Android phone, really?
Sometimes. I lean more towards using my iPod for those kind of things. But when it comes, sometimes I do use that when the iPod is unreliable. So, yeah, I kind of
Which with
like
iOS
that.
8 is all the freaking time.
I kind of enjoy that. Usually.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what the capabilities of Google Now are. I'm sorry, I don't own an Android phone. On the Google app for iOS, it's pretty competent. So I would imagine it's a lot more competent on Android because Android is, a lot more open source and a lot more third party things can be done with it. So I don't know. It might be better, it might be worse. I'm really not sure. The Spotlight is like it did the same thing with the Mac. Like you can say like show me video at I took it Johnny Ives' birthday party or Eva's birthday party. Iva's, I don't know. I think Eva, like from Wally. Remind me where I remind me about this when I get to my car. Things like that. Um, Siri, yeah, more stuff that she does. Blah blah blah. Um. Oh, and it also it'll detect like if you're like plugging it'll detect like your schedule and it'll kind of work around that. It's kind of interesting because Android just announced that they were doing that. And Apple. So it really kind of makes you wonder, like, who came up with the idea first? I don't know if it was Android. I don't know if it was Apple. I'm not going to argue either which way. Either way, it's nice that they both have it, honestly. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think, like we said before, the fact that they both have it, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So, what I guess, if you plug your headphones in, in the car, it could, put on some music or something, or it could put on, it kind of detects on what you do. It kind of tailors itself to you. So, it's kind of nice. I don't know how well it'll work, again. It might be very good, it might, be very buggy, but who knows? Engineering to perform your every level. I don't know what any of that is. Oh, yeah. This is the thing that I was talking about. Extend the battery life, where you can, the battery life, was extended by 1 hour because guess what? They actually took a realistic thing and they made it, seriously, the battery life on the, my phone only gets about 3 hours of battery. It is absolutely terrible. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a little bit more with this update. Hopefully. And there's even a low power mode that's pretty good. It's also a lot less to download. It's down to 1 gigabyte that you need of free space, which is very nice. It's faster. They put the metal engine on the animations, and they made those a lot more reliable. So that's pretty nice. Improved security. Here's the thing. And I think a lot of people are wondering this as well. How's that going to affect jailbreaking? Because I had a jailbroken iPad, and I loved that. And Apple keeps, adding features from, jailbroken phones. But here's the thing. As much as iOS evolves, so does the world of jailbreaking. We find new tweaks. For example, OXO was a very good tweak. Um, convergence, springtomize, where you can like customize your springboard. I'm sorry, Tenny probably has no idea what I'm talking about. Sorry, Tenny. But yeah, like, how's the improved security going to improve jailbreaking? Or going to deal with jailbreaking? You can add up to 6-digit passcodes, which, okay, I never really used that anyway. Two-factor authorization, I don't remember them talking about that. A password alone is not always enough to keep your account secure. With two-factor authorization, when you sign in from a new browser or on the device, you can... What is it saying?
It's saying that not only do you put in a password, but you can verify it with another code that automatically displays on your Apple device.
Okay, is this really freaking necessary? Like, like, are we really that paranoid nowadays? Like, just... Can we please just give it a break? Can you realize that you have nothing to hide? Like, nobody cares about what's on your phone. Unless you are, like, big business person, it is not important. Nothing you do is important on your phone. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, this is just BS, in my opinion.
I think that now with the Apple Pay, where people are going to have their credit card information and they're going to have all sorts of things like that on their phone, then they would need more security. But at the same time, I feel we have so much security already. Like, in order to get an app, in order to pay for an album, you need to type in a passcode. Sometimes for certain things, there are restrictions where you need an extra passcode. So, the security, it's really secure, but I guess some people really want more security.
And I mean, like, we're just paranoid because of this NSA stuff. And I mean, like, Obama's even, like... Well, they haven't necessarily stopped it, but they've kind of limited it. But I mean, like, like, seriously, like, what are they gonna do now? Is it gonna be, like... I don't know, like, you have to, like, now, I mean, like, just take a good look at yourself and realize what you do on your phone doesn't matter. And I mean, like, even credit card information, that's all encrypted. Like, there's no way of even accessing that on the device. You can't, like, hack the phone and get your credit card information. Like, not even Apple, I think, even has it. Move to iOS from Android easier. They didn't talk about this from... They didn't talk... I'm just looking at the picture. They clearly have an HTC One, but they had to get rid of the HTC logo for copyright reasons. That's just hilarious. But... Yeah, I mean, like... Yeah, I guess that's nice. If you're if you're an Android user, it's nice to be able to switch over. More that looks like it's about it, honestly. There might be a few other features, but that's pretty much all that they're talking about. And then Apple Music, I'm not going to really go over the bullet points because we're going almost an hour already. So, did you want to just kind of like briefly give your thoughts on Apple Music, and I'll briefly give my thoughts on Apple Music. We'll talk about that for a little while, and then we'll end the video.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, Apple Music. I think that Apple Music is like Spotify with SoundCloud, where people can put their music in and share it with the world, and you can listen to the radio, and you can listen to different artists and make a playlist of musics that you like. And I feel like we have so many apps like that already. And they're also combining it with Beats One, which is an app that people use, and it's similar to Spotify. So I feel
No, it's basically just an internet radio station.
okay.
Which, like, I don't understand that, honestly. Like, it's not really like Pandora. Doesn't seem like it's really like Pandora. It's just like an internet radio station, but it's like somehow more tailored to what you want. Like, I don't understand. Like, how does it tailor to what everyone wants? Like, I mean, like, I'm a fan of classic rock, but I don't like, I'm not a huge fan of modern rap, or I'm not a huge fan of dubstep. Someone might be a fan of dubstep, but they're not a fan of country music. I mean, like, how can you tailor to everyone's needs?
We're just gonna have to find out when they finally let us use it.
Yeah.
There wasn't much of a big demo to how this music thing works, but hopefully we'll get to see how it works.
Yeah. And then, like, yeah, but, like, what you were saying about Spotify. Yeah, very much like Spotify. Except the thing I like is that it's, very integrated with Siri. Now, here's the problem, though. It's $9.99 a month, which, granted, so is Spotify. But Spotify has a free option. For example, on my computer, I've never paid for Spotify. I can go on Spotify and I can listen to, Frank Zappa, which is the last thing I had opened.
When there's a million.
Granted, now it's like playing an ad for, I think, cigarettes or something, because that's what for like, anti-smoking or something, because that's the last thing I did. But Spotify is completely free on the Mac and on the iPad, especially. Apple Music only gives you a free 3-month trial. Now, I remember at one point they were talking about, like, Spotify might go premium only. If that happens, then yes, Apple Music will probably be the way to go. But until then, I'm sticking with Spotify. And the other thing is that it's it also seems a lot more social media oriented. Like, Spotify is to a point, but not as much as Apple Music. And also, what was the other thing? Like, it seems a lot more oriented towards indie artists. Like, like you said, a lot like SoundCloud. A lot more indie artists are using SoundCloud, and you can upload things to Apple Music, and you can get notoriety that way. So in a way, it's trying to compete with SoundCloud. Whether that succeeds or not, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I don't know. Anything else that I didn't go over or that you would like to add?
Nope, just the fact that they're rushing a new the OS for the Apple Watch.
Oh yeah, I didn't go over that. Yeah, I guess there's some features for the Apple Watch. Like, I don't know. I guess they did some more SDKs and stuff. And, like, Tenny and I were talking about, like, the what I feel, and Apple does this all the time with hardware. Case in point, the original iPhone, that was some $650 originally on contract back in 2007. No App Store, very limited in what it could do. iPhone OS 2, which is what they called it back then. It wasn't iOS back then. iPhone OS 2, that came out about a year later, along with the iPhone 3G. Added an App Store, added more sleek design, and in my opinion, more elegant design, even though it was plastic. A lot cheaper. It was about half the price of the original iPhone. So that made it more accessible to some more people. There was a lot more features to it. They increased the capacity of it. They did a lot more with the iPhone 3G. I think they even added... What was it they added? They even added, like, certain other features as well. So, like... Yeah, so, and same with the iPad. iPad 1 didn't have a camera. It was relatively thick and heavy. iPad 2, thinner, lighter. Um, added a front and back facing camera, which I still hate for them doing that because, people taking, these awkward selfies like this. It's just stupid. But yeah, I mean, like, Apple does that all the time, and since the I think Apple kind of rushed the watch thing as a whole anyway, because I mean, like, the Android variant didn't really have a chance to really prove itself, and then Apple kind of came in and they were like, well, we can, like, let's see, like, just wait to see if the Android thing takes off and then release your watch. Otherwise, you might be stuck with, a product that nobody wants except for hardcore Apple fanboys. And whether that's held true or not, no idea. But, I just really don't know. I don't know how it happened, but I don't know. Anything to add to that?
Nope. Nothing. That was perfect.
Alright. So, I think we're going to end the video. It is, as of right now, over an hour. Thanks to you running your mouth.
I'm glad to have done it.
Yes. And for me, too. Anyway, goodbye now.